Thank you for being with me. I'm meteorologist Brian Shields, and thank you for putting those likes on yesterday's video. I was seeing those. You're my motivation, keeping me going, and thank you to all the new subscribers. All right, let's get to this. We're watching this spot here in the Bay of Campeche, Gulf of Mexico, Western Gulf for development. A higher chance, I believe, of development out of that, what we've been talking about for about a week now. And then this area that brought a lot of heavy rain to South Florida could develop some, especially by tomorrow. And then watching these tropical waves out here, but an unusually large tropical wave for this time of year is sitting here. You see, here's the coast of Africa. Now, this is something that we would often see in August and September. I don't believe it's going to develop into anything crazy or anything like that. I don't want any false information out there, but it is just such unusual to see a big flare-up like this out there in the month of June. Now, this is going to run into some dry air. There is some Saharan dust headed again toward us in the eastern Caribbean, but eventually this will draw in some more moisture, so I'll keep an eye on it. But here's what's going on. I believe it's simply feeding off of the unusually warm water temperatures for this time of year out there. So there's the coast of Africa. Here's the eastern Caribbean, Barbados, Trinidad and Tobago. You get back toward Puerto Rico. In this here, this yellow, orange, and red shading, this is showing that the water temperatures are all running above average. So it's more July-like out here with the water temperature. So even though there's dry air, I believe these tropical waves are feeding off of some of that warm air. And I hope that's not a sign of things to come as we get deeper into the hurricane season, but that is definitely an unusual or at least strong tropical wave that far out for this time in the season, early in the hurricane season. Now, this is where we could see some development. There's that tropical disturbance. It's now offshore of Florida. It may flare up into a tropical storm briefly tomorrow as it goes over the Gulf Stream, which is a warm water current right through here, and it's going to feed off of that. And then back through the Bay of Campeche, that's what we've been highlighting, I think, for a week and a half together, that we could see some development in this spot. Now, what are the models showing? And you know I look at a lot more than just the models. I look at what's going on in the environment, both now and down the road. Well, the European model is saying, hey, this area is going to develop into either a tropical depression or a tropical storm. The American model has been mainly saying this is going to be a tropical storm. The Canadian saying a tropical storm. The ICON, the German model right now, is not seeing that, but it is seeing some sort of a spin up as a whole, at least a broad area of low pressure in this area. So I do believe we could have a tropical storm developing by next week in the Western Gulf and Bay of Campeche. And one thing, the water temperatures here are very warm, 86 degrees Fahrenheit, 30 degrees Celsius, even a little warmer in spots, 31 degrees Celsius. Plus, the wind shear should relax just a touch, and most of the Saharan dust or dry air would be more over toward the eastern Caribbean. There's going to be a lot of moisture in play, and that's why I see something developing, or at least close to it, once we get back into the western Caribbean. Now, tropics is not all bad news. If something tries to develop, as long as it's weak, that could bring very welcome rain to parts of Mexico and even Texas where we need to get it. Now, this is what's going on. We have this one spot right here. That's that tropical disturbance that could develop tomorrow. That's going to slide away. High pressure's over here and just giving us that surge of moisture around it. So we have one system departing. And the reason why we're going to still see some flooding in South Florida today is it's always the tail of this. This system, yeah, it's leaving, but the tail end of it is going to draw in some more moisture around that general area of high pressure. So more heavy rain in parts of the Bahamas. I know New Providence, we missed out on a lot of the rain yesterday. I was thinking we were going to get more. Better chance for today. So we'll keep an eye out for that. But then you get here. Let me take you into, this is tomorrow. Now, as this goes over the Gulf Stream, there's a small chance that this does develop this area here. But still, the tail end of that action, you still see some rain. Parts of the Bahamas, Florida, and Cuba still seeing some of the rain. Over toward the Cayman Islands, we had rain this morning. But there's some of the leftover moisture. These impulses, just this moisture continues to feed over toward parts of Central America, the Yucatan and Mexico, which spots where we really need to get some of the rain, but then that moisture is just going to kind of sit there. So going out in time, this is on Saturday. We're going to just watch some of this moisture building. Let me take you out in time further. This is by Sunday. You see some of the extra rain right in here building in the Western Gulf by Sunday. No development, but if I really start to see a lot of moisture building in the Western Gulf this weekend, we're going to know if something's going to be trying to develop here. Plus, we have these strong tropical waves, or at least relatively relatively speaking, that are trying to move into the Eastern Caribbean. Not losing sight of that as well, just not seeing development out of that. We'll get into that in a moment, but as we get into Monday, this is Monday into Tuesday, and you see all of this rain now. Now, this is when we could start to see some development Monday into Tuesday, where something could start to kind of spin up into a tropical depression or tropical storm. The issue with it, not a bad issue, is that there's a lot of land right around here. It's going to have to kind of thread a needle. The land interaction will be key. I think that's why some of the models aren't developing it, because you got a lot of land around, doesn't have a lot of water to feed off of, so it would have to form kind of perfectly. But this time of year, this is exactly where we see stuff, historically speaking, developing. So we're going to see this, and then it looks like if something develops, it would kind of pull back toward Mexico, or even kind of lift a little bit up toward Texas. So we could see some welcome rain. Of course, it would probably be too much rain, but we could see some rain sliding in. So this would be by about Tuesday, something developing. You see it right there, very close to the coast. We need to see if it has enough time to develop over the water before whatever it is tries to work inland. This would be by Wednesday. You see here some sort of system, tropical depression or tropical storm, trying to move into Mexico about a week from now, actually less than a week from now, and watching other areas of rain that I'm going to keep an eye on. And then one thing I want to note, the models have consistently been picking up, while we have one system trying to form here, still that same surge of moisture, kind of that same pattern. These tropical waves move in, feed in moisture into the Caribbean. There are some signs we could see another system forming, giving you the early heads up back behind that one as we get deeper into next week. That's down the road, but that's the pattern. I always watch the patterns carefully. Things start to mimic each other, and we could see not only one system, but eventually another system trying to develop. Now, breaking down the winds here, this is today, nothing too windy across much of the Gulf of Mexico and over toward the bay, but just trying to find a circulation. This is the American model wind tracker. So going out in time, just ticking ahead. This is Sunday, getting into a Monday, just trying to find a circulation. You see a buildup of some of the winds, 80 kilometers an hour or 50 miles per hour. Those are the gusts, not necessarily sustained winds, but right there on Tuesday, just like the European model is showing, you see that circulation there. Here's Mexico City, and here's Belize, and you see that circulation right there. And yeah, that could draw in more moisture even over toward Honduras and Belize on the back side of whatever tries to develop. But the American model is picking up on some sort of development on Tuesday, and I'll show you that in a different version in a second. You see that circulation there, and it is showing that there could be some sustained winds of tropical storm force, 40 to 50 miles per hour or over 80 kilometers an hour, up to about 80 kilometers an hour. So that is showing a tropical storm, and then eventually working its way into Mexico as we get into late Tuesday into Wednesday of next week. This is going to change some. This is pretty well out in time. We're looking 5-6 days out in time. So here's the big picture with that. It is still in line. This is the American model, still in line with the European model, showing a lot of that rain building. And by the way, still watching what could be a quick little spin. Most of the indications are it'd be close to Bermuda or just to the north. But let me go out in time here. This is on Sunday, and hopefully we get some of this extra rain over toward the southeastern Caribbean, Grenada. We need to get some of the rain still over toward Trinidad and Tobago. Northeastern Caribbean, we have been so dry and so hot in many spots. Here we go. As we get into Monday, there's the extra rain building in the western Gulf, and some of this may feed to the north through parts of Louisiana and Texas, but this is when something could start to develop on Monday. So Monday into Tuesday would be really those signs that we're getting, or rather, that's when we could get a tropical depression or tropical storm. Or even if it doesn't develop, there's still going to be a lot of rain here, some sort of broad spin that will eventually try to work its way either kind of up toward Texas, feeding some moisture up toward Texas, or simply working inland over toward parts of Mexico. But catching my eye once again on the American model, look at this extra rain just south of Jamaica. This is what may feed up north behind it and may also develop later next week or by next weekend. So it's going to get active. That's normal. We're in the hurricane season. So lots to track, watching some areas of heavier rain near Guyana and Suriname. Here's the closer picture now for some of us. You see that tail end of the rain right there? Back thinking of you in South Florida, if you've been dealing with some of the flooding. It's not going to be for everyone, as I've been mentioning. It's not all day rain for many of us, but it's just those batches of rain. Here's western Cuba still feeding in to the northern Bahamas. There's that buildup of rain tomorrow afternoon. Guyana and Suriname, some rain, not as much for us. Rain chances have been down. Of course, the ABC Islands, we have been dry. We have been super hot. Now going out in time here, Bringing us into our Saturday forecast, there's the rain building there, still a little bit of that tail end action right there, and then I'll see how close some of these scattered showers get to us over toward Trinidad and Tobago and even up toward St. Lucia. So as far as the rain goes, western Cuba, we could see additional 4 inches of rain or 100 millimeters of rain, and we could see that in spots of South Florida, and this is on top of what we already had. And over toward the Bahamas, there's Nassau, and you can see over toward New Providence, we've been on the edge of it. That's the issue. More of it's been just to the north. So we'll see how much rain gets over toward New Providence for today. Now this here, once you get over toward eastern Cuba, Haiti, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, U.S. and British Virgin Islands, isolated showers passing by, an isolated storm. Zooming down into Jamaica, isolated storms. We had a couple showers last night around. So if you do get one, 25 millimeters to about an inch of rain, just not super high totals. Same thing in Anguilla, St. Martin, St. Croix, Montserrat over toward Dominica. Rain chance stays small, and there's going to be some extra dust as we move over the next few days that will reduce the air quality slightly. I watched that as well. Martinique down through Grenada, the rain chance isn't high, but in a few days we could get a couple more scattered showers moving closer to Trinidad and Tobago. But if you get a passing shower the next few days, about 10 to 25 millimeters of rain, and you see higher totals though, Guyana and Suriname, even parts of northern Venezuela where we've had some of the flooding. Here's Mexico, too dry the next few days. There's going to be more rain over toward the Yucatan. I was showing you that, but much of Mexico here, historically dry, just crazy dry. It's been devastating in so many locations for people, for animals, livestock, crops, you name it. There's been wildfires. So if a system develops here, the hope is, to try to get some good news, is that it would bring some rain in. But there's the system even up toward the Atlantic region to Canada, stretching all the way down across the Caribbean. And out here, there could be some development. No big signs of that. Watching the Eastern Pacific, just monitoring that. We're a month into the hurricane season on the Eastern Pacific side. That started on May 15th. Starts sooner because the water temperatures are usually a little warmer there. So here's Bermuda, and there is that brief chance that this could spin up tomorrow over the Gulf Stream. So just a heads up in Bermuda, nothing can't handle, but just we'll see how close that area of rain gets. This is as we work our way into our Friday afternoon, and there's some of the rain there trying to get closer to the southeastern Caribbean, but there's a lot of dry air, so it's going to be fighting that. Northern sections of the U.S. could see that chance of some severe storms. Still unsettled. Atlantic region of Canada could see some spotty showers as we work our way into today. Then tomorrow, that system back to the west, coming out of Quebec, that's when we'll get some scattered showers. New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, Prince Edward Island, back through New England and parts of the mid-Atlantic, some showers, and it may help pull in some moisture, some extra moisture trying to return as we get into later in the day on Saturday over toward Newfoundland. Later in the day on Saturday, that rain chance will be getting higher. So isolated showers and storms in Jamaica, Cayman Islands, the higher chance of rain, and we've already had that in many spots for today. Trinidad and Tobago, rain chance will gradually try to get higher, holding on to about a 20% chance in Barbados, a 10 to 20% chance in St. Lucia, and a 10 to 20% chance in Grenada. Rain chance staying on the small side. St. Vincent in the Grenadines, not a lot. 10 to 20% chance in Martinique, and an isolated passing shower possible in Dominica. Rain chance about 20% in Guadeloupe, 20 to 30% the next few days, Antigua and Barbuda. Let me know if you get a shower. Otherwise, mainly dry, lots of sunshine and hot. St. Kitts and Nevis, Montserrat, we need rain. The rain chance is not high. Anguilla and St. Bart's, rain chance 20 to 30%. 20% chance St. Martin, Saba, and Statia. Puerto Rico, isolated storms will be around. We'll see some popping up in the afternoon and the evening for some of us. U.S. and British Virgin Islands, about a 40% chance by Saturday. Bahamas, of course, northern Bahamas, the better chance of rain. Turks and Caicos, we're mainly on the dry side. Isolated storms possible in the Dominican Republic, and we're mainly dry over the next 3 days. In Haiti, rain chance in Belize starting to get higher. That moisture starting to feed in. Keep me posted if you get some showers in Belize, Aruba, Curacao, and Bonaire. That rain chance stays small, especially with some of that dry air and some of that dust around. Guyana, on the flip side, that rain chance stays on the elevated side. Guyana and Suriname, still some of those areas of flooding. 60 to 70% chance the next few days. Working our way toward Cuba, western end. That's where the chance of rain is higher, western and central sections. Costa Rica, slightly higher chance of rain than Panama. Overall, scattered to widespread rain. Nicaragua, 50 to 60% 60% chance of rain and storms, and we have about a 60% chance in Honduras. Not for everyone, not all day stuff, but scattered showers around. Same thing Guatemala and El Salvador. El Salvador, we could have a few of those thunderstorms popping up. Get toward Mexico City, too dry, but keep an eye on what could be developing off to the west. So thank you for spreading this information across Mexico, because we could have a system very nearby this weekend and next week, and that includes over toward the Yucatan, watching out for a higher chance of rain. Colombia, about a 30% chance of rain in northern Colombia today. Northern Venezuela, 30% chance. And we'll see how some of this moisture feeds closer to Bermuda, and I'll see if anything tries to spin up off the coast of the Carolinas. So in the Gulf, a storm is possible, or more specifically, the Bay of Campeche. Once we get into next week, this weekend, we should see those signs of it developing, or at least more moisture building. And then early next week, something may spin up. But this could be very good news just because of the huge lack of rain that we've had across much of Mexico, even many parts of Texas. Tropical waves continue to move into the Caribbean, and I'm seeing some signs that after this area in the Bay of Campeche, we could see more development out there in about a week to about a week and a half, as this pattern is at least locked in as we go over the next couple of weeks. So it is getting active. So thank you for sharing this channel with your friends and family, and I do hope you have a good rest of your day.